So scholarship chair, this position is super important. You're in charge of basically ensuring that your house has a respectable GPA. And sometimes you're not always able to control that, but you are able to control the barriers in place and the infrastructure in place to ensure that your members have the most opportunity possible to have the best GPA, and thus a better GPA as a house. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about is rush. You need to be able to explain why your house stands where it does on the GPA rankings for Greeks. And when potential new members look at your house and they see a non-favorable rank, you need to have an explanation for that. And so we actually were somebody who did not have a great rank for our GPA, and I'm not even sure we still do. And here's the reason why. Early on, we rushed people who were transfer students. And something at U of I that I'm not sure actually is standard across all other campuses is that when you're a transfer student, you do not necessarily have to have a good grade in a class. In fact, you can take a lot of pass-fail classes. And so for us, what we found was we were rushing people who were great members and they contributed a lot, but they didn't really care about their academics because they were transfer students who just had to pass the class. So we would have people who would have like 3 C's and 2 D's for their GPA, and it would bring down all of these people who had a 3.5, 3.6, 3.8, and even 3.2. It just brought down the average. So like even though our GPA average with those types of people would be around like a 3.3, 3.4, we would then have somebody with like a 0.04. And that would destroy our average and then of course bring us down on the rankings. And so I think it's important to be able to have a reason why you are where you are, or at least be able to talk about and conceptualize where your house is going and how you're going to improve it, and why you guys are uniquely going to be able to do that versus, say, other houses who may not have a strategy in place for it. So that's rush. That's number one. And then 2, resources. I think it is super important that as any organization, whether you're a fraternity, sorority, RSO, intramural, that you have some sort of resource bank that people can turn to when they need help with something. So for example, having access at any point for resume templates or past resumes from people who have full-time jobs now, or academic resources that provide insight with old material on the class that's still going on. These types of things are priceless to improving the performance of people and thus improving the GPA of your organization. And then 3, groups. And this is one of the most underutilized techniques that I see within scholarship chairs, but it's making sure that you identify which actives in the house may be struggling and pair them with people who have the same major and are doing pretty well. And I'll even give the full process to this that I think that anybody can follow across the board, which is that 1, you gather the majors and the GPAs of all the active members. And you can do this through a Google Docs survey or an Excel sheet where you poll people in person, but find out what it is that people are studying and how they're doing. And then 2, analyze who is performing well and those who are not performing that well through that Google survey. 3, regardless of the performance, create a group me and or Facebook groups with the people who have the same major. So for example, if you've got 15 people with an aerospace engineering major, it would make a lot of sense to put them all in the same group, because at least they can all find out what it is that they, even if they're in the same classes, or they can find out what it is that they're struggling with. They can get help from somebody who has taken it. But really creating this infrastructure where people are able to help each other in things that they're struggling with. And then 4, ensure that those who are struggling can look to someone for help. So I covered this a little bit with the 3rd point, but specifically look out for the all-star performers who have a personality that lends itself well to mentoring. So for example, someone could be a 4.0 student, but they can be a fucking terrible teacher, a terrible mentor, and somebody that nobody really likes dealing with. So in that case, I'd much rather, if I was somebody who was struggling, be working with somebody who has a 3.0 or a 3.3 or a 3.5 GPA, but is easy to work with and somebody who really cares about helping people out. And so the last point, and the 5th point, is that you should check in periodically. Every week, if necessary, with those who are really struggling. Making sure that they at least have somebody who really cares about them doing well can go a long way in their own psyche as far as trying to do well. They have more people that they might let down besides just themselves. And I think that when you keep people accountable to more than just themselves, that can really actually go a long way in them improving their performance.
Hey everyone, just want to real quick thank you for looking at the video. Please mention in the comments anything that you want to see content-wise, whether it has to do with recruitment, helping with social, your position, more on the positions, something about personally that you've had to deal with that you would like some clarification on how to approach it, anything really. And then thank you for having patience with me on trying to figure out what exactly to do with these videos and how to edit it, how to produce it in the right way where it's entertaining but also super educational and valuable to the people involved. Thank you again so much. Look forward to seeing you soon.